My name is Billie M Vigne and I am from Aldershot in Hampshire, but I currently live in Margate in Cliftonville. The show is called Flat 4 Old Arthur's Bequest, and it is a sort of wake/funeral and last rites for a 7.5-year tenancy. Old Arthur is the spirit that I believe lives in the walls here, and he is part elephant. There's a depiction of him kind of looming out of the tenant stories that are scrawled on this. Part mist, perhaps part spore plume, but he's diaphanous and breathy and disappears and reappears. This flat smells and feels and sounds, and it's not a looking flat, it's a sensing with every part of your flat. A body is a dwelling that breathes and perspires. The body of Bill Bones is a house on fire. The parts of Bill Bones are incessantly shedding, strung together with hairy mycelial threading. The mind of Bill Bones is sprawled on the wall, an emotional ocean of nothing at all. It's the culmination of about 3 years' work. I was a metalsmith for about 12 years, and this work starts at a point where I stepped away from using metals. So it's predominantly made of chip shop paper and cork, and records my experience of living in this flat through the alter ego of Bill Bones. The exhibition's laid out in my flat, and in the bedroom is work from about 2 years ago. And in this front room is work from about a year ago. And they trace my being bedbound in that room for a period of months, and then gradually coming out of that, still being sick, but building this front space more as a garden or an imaginative escape route that you might find through dreams if you were to voyage from the bed elsewhere. It uses a kind of dwelling methodology to grow, so everything here is grown from previous works and is built on the things made before that get eaten and regurgitated and evolve. So I have a chronic illness that I've had since I was about 13. I've got ME, which has been a lifelong thing that I have to manage. I've spent many years bedbound and built a sort of strange new relationship with my bed as a dwelling space as a result, which is very much the tactile essence of this show. Growing up in isolation and missing childhood and teenhood and early 20s-hood, it makes you different in good and bad ways. It makes you very good at not worrying about missing out after a lot of practice. What it's like is being in a waiting room for 20 however many years. That's what it's like, and you become altered temporarily. I think that's probably the most significant thing that happens when you are isolated for that amount of time. You exist on a completely different temporal plane. Yeah, it makes you stubborn and introspective and weird and very, very angry. Your entire work becomes disjointed and cast out of time. I got told I should not use words by about 3 different people over the course of my creative life. People whose opinions I really respected. And I've always felt very self-conscious about writing. And in fact, this drawing and the drawing next door were a concerted effort and act of defiance of how I can use words without them being maybe totally decipherable. My night times are extraordinarily eventful and I sometimes wonder if I'm so exhausted in the day because I've been travelling so much in the night. When you spend a lot of time in bed, particularly when you're very exhausted, the space between wake time and sleep time becomes really murky and intermingled. And you start not really, again, it's part of this losing time thing, but you start not to know where reality is or isn't. And imagination, through dreaming or through daydreaming, or whatever this sort of in-between state is, it becomes the main state. I think I want to burn all of this work because I've intentionally made it ephemeral, and that was the scariest thing about beginning working this way, is because metals are permanent and forever. Making things that are very labour intensive, that you know are going to fall apart or disintegrate or not store well or not last, it puts a very different trajectory onto what you can do with them in the future and what it means to have made them. What I see this work doing is continue to be eaten alive by the future works, regurgitated, but also to die. And I've never had that. I've never had that finality and acceptance of losing energy, losing labour in work you make. But of course, all the work will live in the future works. The stories have begun now, so the stories will continue. The bed of Bill Bones is a ship in the night, a rattly tram, a casket, a pram, a shell, a cocoon, the main space in the room. A voyaging, seafaring freight crate of doom. The time of Bill Bones is all out of joint, dismembered and nervous and lost, not on purpose. But the bed of Bill Bones can journey through plains of time cast adrift from wherever they came. This is the landing place, calm and alone. This is the place where Bill Bones throws stones. The haunts and the hauntings of haunted Bill Bones.